Another key point in that election cycle was right next door to us at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, a millage up for the vote by the public in the greater West Bloomfield area. That also passing with flying colors in greater West Bloomfield, securing 64% of the vote affirmatively from residents of West Bloomfield that voted on that subject. Joining us for more information on how this millage will help the library catapult its services and its operations forward is the director of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, Cathy Russ. Cathy, thanks for being with us again.
Oh, you're welcome, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you on, and congratulations on this big accomplishment for the library. This is something I know was a really critical issue for you, getting out the information about this in the past months. For those that maybe aren't familiar with what this millage will do for the library, what will this funding ultimately go for in terms of improving services, operations, and the needs of both of your branches?
Sure. So this millage represented about 46% of our overall funding. So almost half of our funding comes from this source. So we really appreciate the community approving it and helping us to keep library services going for the next 10 years. And not just going, but going in a manner in which I think the public has come to expect excellent services, excellent programs, excellent facilities. And we want to make sure that tradition continues, but we also want to do some upgrades. We have some capital projects that we need to take care of over the next 10 years because our buildings are getting older. And we want to add some more programs and more services and more, certainly ebooks to the collection and other materials as well.
That millage will be accounted for beginning in 2024 and continuing all the way through 2033 after this passage in the most recent election. An estimated $3.3 million will be collected in the first year with the millage being levied now across the community. And that's a lot of money that goes towards some really critical projects. And Cathy, we've seen a lot of improvements being made recently at the main library branch, some critical repairs over the past several months. How will those continue into the coming years? What are you sort of looking at as things that can continue to be improved at the main branch, but also over at the West Acres branch?
So I'm actually in a study room talking to you today instead of my office because they're working on the main library's roof and they're actually working right outside my office. So a lot of banging and clanging, and I didn't want to interfere with the interview. But yes, so that's going on right now. But as you mentioned, we do need to look at the West Acres roof. Both of our buildings, the main branch and the West Acres branch, will be 25 years old next year. And, just like a home or any other building, it needs to be maintained. So over the next 10 years, which is the duration of this term for the millage, we need to replace the West Acres roof. We need to replace some HVAC over at West Acres, also some components still here at Maine. At some point in the next 10 years, we're going to need to replace windows. We've been improving our technology infrastructure for the last 4 years, but we want to continue making improvements to that and make sure that we're, really tight with security as far as that goes. So those are the building improvements that we want to make. And with the passage of this millage, it will allow us to, I think, firm up that capital improvements plan and determine kind of a timeline when we can do what. And it's just wonderful to know that we have the funds will be available to do what we need to do to keep these buildings safe and secure.
Cathy Russ is the director of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, joins us today on the Splash Live after the passage of their library millage of repeal and replace proposal on the 2024 ballot. More information on the library and all of its services and events coming up on WBLIB.org, or follow them on Facebook at West Bloom LIB. And Cathy, this all comes at a really interesting time because on this ballot, it's your repeal and replace for a new millage for the library. Resounding support that's going to be helping the library with capital improvements for years to come. In August, it was very similar for West Bloomfield Parks, right next door to you. They're going to be making massive improvements at the Recreation Activity Center. How do both of these coinciding ultimately lead to a really bright future at the Town Hall complex?
Well, I can tell you we have a great partnership with the Parks Department, and I was delighted for them when their bond passed. And then now with the passage of our millage, one of the things that Kelly Heyer, the executive director of Parks, and I have talked about is creating an outdoor programming space between our two buildings. and having something there, that the community can come to and take in programs or classes or, do something. There's no plans, there's no drawings, there's nothing. It's just something that we've talked about. But I think with the passage of their bond and the passage of the library millage, we can look into that more deeply and try to do something to make that happen. Talk to the community, see what they would be interested in, and then work on that. So I think that would be an improvement for the Civic Center campus. Certainly, it would give the public another place to gather, and in a setting. I think we would make it very nice because it would be outdoors. Probably have shelter of some kind, but things, especially since the pandemic, people seem to like outdoor spaces and want to gather in them. So another meeting space in the community potentially. So I think that'd be really cool, really fun to work on. And I think just overall on the Civic Center campus, Steve Kaplan, Debbie Binder, Terry Weingarten all were reelected. And I think it just shows that the community supports the quality of life and supports its the administration and the entities that keep the township such a great place to live. And to work in a community like that does that supports that is very gratifying. It's really wonderful. So I think with the passage of the Parks Bond and the passage of the library millage and then the election of the township folks, I think it just is a bright future for the township and demonstrates that the community supports all of our endeavors.
Your leadership, your staff going to be ultimately implementing a lot of these capital improvements and these changes at the main library in the West Acres branch for years to come. A lot of that's also going to be coming from the directive of your leadership, some new leadership coming in and some returning leadership on the library board. All 6 of its members also elected last night with a new member joining in Jennifer Taylor Boykins. How does that collaboration work between you and the library board to ultimately take this investment from the community and turn it into something that's going to ultimately go back to the community and provide them with something great for years to come?
That's a great question, and I think of it as a circle, because the library board, their 3 main responsibilities are to hire the director, which they have done with me, and I hope that they won't be doing that again anytime soon. And then the second responsibility is policy, to set policy. And then the third main responsibility is the financial oversight and make sure that everything's running the way that it's supposed to be running in terms of the finances. So that's a really critical piece. We have a really wonderful treasurer, Rhonda Barnes-Orr, who was reelected. She has a financial background. Several people on our board have finance backgrounds. So they're, I think, well-positioned and savvy in terms of what to look for, and they ask really great questions. So, but back to the circle, so it starts with the board, and then I'm the director, so I report to the board, and I do my very best to keep them apprised of everything that's going on, and, there are some things that they have to approve. Then I take that to the staff, and then we do it. But then there are a lot of times that things come from the staff to me that I take to the board, or me down to the staff, get their buy-in, and then go to the board. So it's just kind of a big circle. And then, of course, you have to factor the community into that, because what we primarily do, we have great ideas. I think staff has great ideas on their own. But a lot of what we do is in response to or anticipating the needs of the community. And so, so when you bring in the communities, you've got the community, the staff, library administration, and then the board. I think we all work together really well. I think we have great communication. I think that there's a lot of mutual understanding of what everybody's role is, and that's really, I think, so important and appreciated by me, because the board understands what it is there to do. And it just, knock on wood, it all seems to be working.
Yeah, collaboration plays a really critical role in all of our tentpole services across the greater West Bloomfield area. Such great appreciation for the library, not only in West Bloomfield, but in the Tri-Cities as well, that also are able to tap into those services all throughout the year at both of those branches. Cathy Russ with us, the director of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Any final thoughts as this millage repeal and replace has been approved by the public, and you look forward to some of these big improvements coming to our 2 library branches?
Yeah, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about that. So I guess 2 things. The first thing is I want to really thank the community for their support. It is very gratifying, and we do appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. No, it's an ask. especially when it's an increase on the table. So we will do everything we can to just continue that tradition of excellence, but keep listening to the community and responding to the community needs. But I really want to say thank you to the community. It's really, really fantastic to see such great support. The second thing that I want to let everybody know is because, I've heard already this morning, like, so what are you going to do? The first thing that we want to do is place the order for those Holds pickup lockers, 24/7 Holds pickup lockers. So if you're working the late shift at Civic Center Television and you don't get out till after the library closes, but there's a material that you really want, we can put it in a locker for you and you can pick it up at 10:30 at night or 2 in the morning or 6 in the morning. We want to get that going because that was a extremely highly requested service back even from 2022. And so we want to move on that. And then like I said, kind of firm up that capital plan and start ordering ebooks because that's another thing that people really want. So kind of hit the low-hanging fruit, make the plans for the next 10 years, and then just get going.
You can follow along with the entire process on wblib.org on the web and also on social media on Facebook at West Bloom LIB. That's their same handle over on Instagram as well. Cathy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Tyler. I hope you have a good day.